Well, hi, everybody. It's another Conversations With, and I think today is the way to start this show off. I've got to do something for you. I got a friend coming, and I thought you'd enjoy meeting him, and I have George come back. So George is here now. So, folks, it's great to see you. How are you? I'm so glad to be here. It's not even funny, okay? You can bring Pearl. She's a real good girl, but don't bring Lulu. You can bring Kate. She's a real good skate, but don't bring Lulu. Lulu always wants to do the things the fellas want her to. When she struts her stuff around, London Bridge comes falling down. Hullabaloo, don't bring Lulu, 'cause I'll bring her myself. There you are, Lulu. It is great to see you. It is great to see you. I'm delighted you're here, and we're going to have a wonderful program. I want to talk to you because you come into town at the Sturbridge Host Hotel.
Right.
Was it 4 times a year?
Right.
And you come from New York.
From New York with my cast.
From New York.
Yes, we do. We come from New York.
Good. Well, I'm delighted. And with you, you have Robert.
Robert is my co-worker and my associate producer, Robert Aberdeen.
That's great.
He's a wonderful, wonderful magician.
Good. So let's talk about Cabaret Lulu.
Yes, please. We started this because we were tired of waiting for Asians to call us. We're all from Broadway. We're all
Yep.
from New York. I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
And I said, why don't we just, with my husband, David Weinstein, I said, why don't we just get the greatest talent and bring them out among people who can't afford to come to New York and give them different theme shows. And we worked very hard. And Robert was looking outside one day when we had a showcase in New York, and he said, where are all these buses coming from? I said, they're not coming from New York, they're coming to New York. He said,
Yeah.
well, let's get a show that will go to them outside of New York. That was the beginning of our creation
Right.
so many years ago.
Good.
And I worked very hard, Dick, to get the finest performers, like the show we're doing right now that they will see tomorrow.
Yep. What time is that show
The
tomorrow?
show, it's a lunch at 11:30 and a
Great.
show at 1 at Sturbridge
Sturbridge Host, right.
We call it Sturbridge Host Lakeside Theater.
Well,
'cause
it
it's
is.
by the lake.
Right on the, it's a great, great, great location.
Beautiful,
It's
yeah.
beautiful on the lake.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And one of the performers, magnificent performer, was in one of the leads in Dreamgirls on Broadway.
Really?
Nothing But the Blues, Carolina Change. The other lady, Nora Cole, was in some of the greatest shows on Broadway, and we bring them together with this beautiful gentleman, Robert, who's been in the original Fiddler on the Roof
Really?
on Broadway, the original. And you know what he
While
just
ago.
did? He just came back. He brought us a hurricane.
So what role did you play in Fiddler?
Oh, tell the story.
It was a stretch for me, but I played the goy.
Okay.
The goy. Well, we'll
The goy.
explain what that
Okay.
might mean.
I was the first
That's the lonely Christian.
That's the only
That's right.
Christian.
Yeah.
and
the third suitor who goes after the third daughter Chava.
Okay.
Which is the worst, of course, marrying outside of the
Oh.
religion. You know.
And I know when he says he's a Fiddler on the Roof, they look at him because since then he's been in 7 Broadway shows and many, many movies.
Yeah.
Just came back from New Orleans where we escaped a hurricane, and
Wow.
he did another movie. That's the kind of performers we have in our show. There's 4 of us,
All right.
and I'm the comedian in the
That was a
middle of
great,
it.
Fiddler on the Roof was a great show.
Oh,
my
my
favorite.
God.
It's
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah.
How many
Great show.
years were you
Some
in
great
Fiddler?
songs came out of that show.
Yeah, beautiful. It was it ran 8 years.
Yeah, it did.
On Broadway.
Yeah.
Which allowed people like me to. I left after a year to go into another Broadway show,
Right.
Royal Hunt of the Sun.
Right.
They invited me back. I said, "Yeah, I'd rather be in that show than this
Right.
show." And I went into Billy Butt, and I could come, because it's still
Yeah.
running 8 years. I was in it probably 5 years altogether.
Yep, but I would like to
Out of the
say
8.
one thing about that. I give my performers a chance to do things that they've never done before. In other words, if they want to, we call it a stretch in the
Yeah.
business. If they want to do one particular performance, they want to stretch, I'll say, do it.
Good.
He always wanted to play with that face, Tevye. Tevye. If
Yeah,
I
well,
want it's my
man,
own.
yep.
And I always wanted to play Goldie. So the next show we're doing, which will be next year,
Yeah.
we're doing a Mother's Day special in May. He'll be Tevye and I'll be Golda.
Good for you. That's great. great. You know, we have a great theater in Worcester, the Hanover Theater, and they bring in some the shows that are on the road. You know,
Sure.
the shows that travel, and they had Jersey Boys here, and they came in for a week last year, and they bring in shows like, and it gives folks locally a chance to see these Broadway shows.
But can I tell you something? Charlton and Worcester. Charlton is coming to us tomorrow in
Yeah.
a group because the groups come in.
Oh, yeah.
And they already, Worcester seniors already
Yeah.
booked our first show, which is a Mother's Day special.
Yeah.
They booked to come to see us in 2018.
Great.
So we come to them now too.
Yeah.
So I'm very
But see,
happy.
that's so great because, you know, when you think about it, it gives folks a chance who might never get a chance to go to see it, even to the Hanover Theater,
Exactly.
to see a show.
And we-
and
I'm sorry.
I mean, we have a beautiful senior center, and
That's the
and
center that's
yeah,
coming.
and I'm sure they're going to be there tomorrow. And that's the beauty of it, is when you go out like that and you're willing to do it.
Wow.
You know, over 60 years, I'm in the Furco String Band of Philadelphia.
Oh,
The
wonderful.
Mummers. You know, we wear
The
the big
Mummers.
fancy feathers, and I used to play the banjo, but my thumbs are gone. And when you can't play, they stick you up front, and I dance now with my fancy costume, and I MC all the programs. And the beauty of it is that when you get a chance to see people, and they can, I had the great opportunity many years ago. Ann Corio, the old
Stripper.
stripper.
Yeah.
And
This
she
was
married a guy named
burlesque.
Mike Iannucci, and they did a show called This Was Burlesque.
Burlesque.
And over at West Springfield, there was the Storyton Theater, no longer there, and they used to have shows all summer, and they always struggled to make it financially
Sure.
sound. And one of Ann's best friends was a gentleman named Liberace.
Oh my goodness.
And every year,
Oh, my goodness.
at the end of the season, Lee would come, and he'd do 3 days and pack the place, and that would turn the profit for the year.
That's
Lee did it. Lee
beautiful.
would do it for nothing. And I had the great opportunity we were invited to a little press get together. I owned a radio station at the time, and we did a lot of work with the Storyton Theater. And I had a chance to be invited to a little press thing, and it was a nice afternoon over at
Right.
Storyton. And I had a chance to sit with Liberace
Oh my goodness.
for about 20 minutes. And he and I had a great chat. And from that, I turned the Furco String Band concerts around because we have these beautiful costumes. We're always up on the stage. And Lee says, you don't do that. I want you're the MC, you go down and sit in the 5th or 6th row.
That's right.
And introduce the next song and get off the stage, let people touch you and feel you.
That's right.
And he said,
Oh, that's
and he
wonderful.
taught me so many little things. And he says, because he said, what you have to understand is when you open a program, you better get that audience within the first 5 minutes.
Totally.
Or if you don't, you'll never get them. And so I changed the music. We put music up front that would get them right away. And I learned so much from Liberace, but an outstanding guy. What a terrific
Yeah.
guy.
Well, you know what? Can I tell you something?
Go ahead, tell me.
You touched me so much because this is what we do. We go out and reach out. He goes, his audience, and he gets them up. I get them up. It all goes back to why I'm in this business.
Oh, yeah.
Why am I in this
And
beautiful
it's, you know,
business?
it's a thing I learned from Liberace. We used to play Babyface and Four Leaf Clover. There's not a person in the world that doesn't know the words to Babyface and Four Leaf Clover. And so we'd put that, and Lee says, what you have to do is he says, and you want to get good-looking ones. He says, get 3 or 4 good-looking girls or women to come up in front on the stage and lead the crowd in the sing-along while the band plays,
That's right.
you know, Four Leaf Clover and Babyface. So what we would do, we would play a chorus, we'd sing a chorus, and then play a chorus. And I'd get these people up on the stage to lead the crowd. And then the other thing we used to do, and I got 30 guys up on the stage,
Right.
musicians, and I'd get somebody up in the show, and another Liberace trick, get somebody up, and he said, have them lead the band, but tell the band to play all kinds of different
That's
notes,
right.
you know, and the music director shows, now let me
love
show you
it.
how to do it. 1, 2, 3, and they play. Then he said, okay, just do that. And then the new person goes, and they go, doo-dee, da-da-da-da-da, and the poor person is panicked.
Oh, that's funny.
And say, come on, you guys, don't be mean. And then of course, they'd play.
But can I say
But it was that somebody from the audience was involved.
Can I say something?
Go.
You said something that touched my heart. And you're probably wondering, oh, what did I say? My dad was at the very end of vaudeville, and he worked with all the great performers, Al Jolson, Milton
Yeah.
Berle. He was Al Jolson's protege and understudy. He said to me, honey, because he died when I was
Yeah.
much too young, and he could have helped me
Yeah.
so much. Honey, be clean if you're going to do comedy, but always bring that audience into it. And if you don't get him in the first 5 minutes,
You don't get 'em.
You don't get him.
Yeah.
And I say that to Robert. I said it to my husband, David. I said, we don't get him in the first. So they make me warm up that audience immediately before I bring them on even.
Yeah, because I remember Lee saying,
so-
he said, I've
yeah.
seen people, performers,
Yeah.
get up there
Yep.
and made it all about them,
Yep.
all about them. And he said, they sit there like this and say, okay, entertain me.
Who cares?
You know,
I mean,
and he says, that poor guy is going to struggle for 20 minutes.
Oh, that's
He
funny.
said, because he made it all about him. You got to make it about them.
It's about them. And what I love to do, comedy is so precious and wonderful, and it's become very vulgar today. And
Well, one of the tragedies of our society is there's a guy like this Stern. You think hey, look, everybody knows those swear words.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the
Yes.
vulgar parts of a woman or a man, and he goes on radio and does it and
Yeah.
gets an audience and makes $8 million. Now, any moron can get on and swear. That's just not hard
but
to
the
do.
people buy it, Dick. Why did they buy it?
Him and Imus, and they've made millions doing it.
Why do they do? People
knows?
listen and they want to hear it.
Who knows? I've been in radio for over 65 years.
Really?
and owned and operated radio stations very successfully. Would never allow it. If you can't get on and speak and talk,
No.
Do you share your age with people?
Don't you ask something
Sure.
like
How old are you?
I'm 82.
Wow, you're a good prototype. You're a
I
good
turned
role
82 in
model.
August.
And he's got a
Mazel
nice
tov.
wife,
That's
too. I
great.
met
And,
your wife.
Jen's a great lady.
Jen's a
My wife
sweetheart.
is delightful.
That's great.
But the thing is, I have a great physician at Mass General Hospital. He
That's
teaches.
where I was born.
He teaches 3 days. He teaches. You were born at Mass General.
I'm a Bostonian, Bob.
I grew up in Malden.
That's where my mother's best friend lived, Gertrude
Yeah.
Finn.
Yep.
God bless you,
Yeah.
Gertrude. You were a
Yeah.
good lady.
But the point, Finns are big in Malden, by the way. But anyway,
Malden.
when I grew up in Malden, you were either one of 3 things. You were an Irish Catholic, you were an Italian Catholic, or you were a Jew.
She was a
And,
Jewish
and what we
girl.
used to do is we had 3 sections of the city. One was called Oak Grove, but that was affectionately called Hop Heaven, where all the Irish lived, where I lived. Then we had Edgeworth. That was affectionately called Guinea Gulch, because that's where all the Italians live. And then there was Suffolk Square, and that was called Little Palestine, because that's where all the Jewish kids lived. Well, you know what? We were thick as thieves.
That's right.
Now, you say that today and they'll arrest you,
No,
but I took
So there was
Jason.
a lot of shuffling. There was a lot
We were like this,
together,
and
yeah.
you know what used to happen during the Passover? The kids had to eat matzah, and they hated matzah. We all had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches,
I
and
know.
we thought matzah was a treat. So we'd trade with the Jewish kids. We'd give them our peanut butter and
this
jelly
is
sandwiches,
funny.
and we'd get them matzah. Okay?
That's funny.
And we used to. I took Jason Silber, one of my best friends. He said to me, "Can I go to church with you?" I said, "Sure." So I took him to Sacred Hearts on a Sunday morning, and I went up to receive and came back. So he said, "What'd you get?" I said, "I got a host." Really?
I go,
So during the week, he said, "Can I go again?" I said, "Sure." So next Sunday, he says, "I want to go with you." So I had to teach him what to do. I said, "You go up there and you stick out." Those days, now they take it. Those days, you had to stick your tongue out. So I went up and I told him, "Stick out your tongue." The priest will put it on it, and then you bless yourself. I taught him how to. Well, I told my mother, she was appalled.
Oh, my
Oh my
God.
God! I
Oh,
can't.
my God.
So there was a couple of good friends of my families that were priests, and they were at the house one time. So my mother told them, and the priest laughed, and they said, "There's nothing wrong with that. Remember, my mother's name was Virginia. Remember, Virginia, the boss was a Jew."
the boss was a Jew.
Okay, but that's how it was back then. You can't do that today. Can't. You go to jail if you ever used any of those words.
Well, let me tell you, please, we have so much in common. Where I was born, the old West End of Boston.
Oh, yeah.
Where my mother was brought up. She was born there, but
Yeah.
then I wasn't there when I got there. But remnants of it, that was the same kind of neighborhood. And way, way, way up to the top was Beacon Hill. And we were way at the bottom, but at Christmas time, they would allow us to come
Oh,
up there
yeah.
and just mix with the big people.
Oh, yeah.
But what I learned, I used to want to hide all the time who I was. So this gives me the chance.
I
and
can't
Robert
believe. I
knows that.
can't believe that you
Yeah.
used to hide who you were.
I did, behind my characters. I
Oh,
was still,
oh, okay.
but in my character, I have to admit to you, Dick, I can say things a little bit more than
Well,
I
you
would
know,
ever say.
getting
as
back
me.
to what Robert said, I started to tell you about my doctor at Mass General, who teaches 3 days at Harvard Medical School.
Oh, right.
And he told me this. He said to me, stay active.
Yep.
He says, keep busy. He says,
Absolutely.
I just finished my 7th book, and you're in every one of my books.
Wow.
Because
God bless
he says,
you.
I've got people that come to see me that are 20 years younger than you, and they think it's 1986. And he says, they go home and they sit on the couch and they crawl in here.
God bless
He says,
you.
you're vibrant. You do TV shows. You're chairman of the Board of Assessors in town. You're involved in the church. He says, you keep busy.
That's
you're,
what
you're
doesn't-
on, you're on committees. You stay active. And he
Keep
says,
moving.
he says,
Keep moving.
so I said to him, now, Alan, I want you to, cut the BS, I said to him. I said, how long have I really got? And he laughed and laughed. And he says, if you promise me you won't run in front of a big truck, he says, I'll give you another 10 to 15 years
Oh.
if you stay doing what you're doing. And so people, you
gotta-
need to hear this out there, you folks. Stay active. Be like Lulu. Be like Robert.
Right.
Do things. Keep working. Keep going. And go see Lulu at the Host Hotel.
Sturbridge.
I'd give you another 20 to 30.
No, I don't know.
Oh, he's
I
even-
don't know that I want to go that
I'll
long.
tell you why. The oldest person with the birth certificate to prove it, to live, was a French woman named Jeanne Calment. Lived to be, guess how old?
What?
122.
Oh my
Really?
goodness.
God love
Which
her.
means that's within range, and the experts have been saying we figured that was within range, but there's the proof.
Yeah.
And if she can do it, you can do it.
Well, you know what, Robert?
I wanna do it.
Dr. Goro told me this, that with the improvement in medicine,
Yeah.
and with
Maybe it may
with
become
all
a
the
lot.
things that we're learning, he says people are living longer.
Yeah.
And he
Oh,
said,
yes.
but he said it comes to, you gotta wanna. He says it's back to you. You gotta wanna. If you give up, you're done. And he
you're
says you've
so
got to keep
wonderful.
active. You got to keep moving, just like you guys.
Oh, yeah.
You're on the road. You're doing shows. You're traveling around.
We're here. This
you
is
know.
one of the most pleasant times. Listen, I was at Old Sturbridge Village for several years, but it became a school.
Yeah.
And I came to Sturbridge House with Robert. I said, what are we going to do? And I looked around and I said, I know what we're going to do. We're going to make a theater out of Sturbridge House.
Yeah.
And we're called Sturbridge House Lakeside Theater, so they know there's a lake there.
Hell yeah, it's beautiful.
And I'm telling you, they are so lovely to us. The food report is great. And I'm
You know
very happy.
what you ought to do sometime.
What?
Talk about the lake.
What?
In the spring and summer, they put up a big tent because they have a lot of weddings out there. You ought to come back and do a show in the summer, and go in the tent outside, and they open up the sides, and you're right on the lake.
We have a show in the summertime.
And you do it outside in the tent.
No.
I never thought about it.
Well, then you call it the Lakeside Theater.
Yes.
You do it in the
Sturbridge
tent's right.
House.
It's right at the lake. It's behind the building.
Well, what if it
when
rains?
you're there,
What if it rains?
it's a tent,
Oh, it's a tent. Oh, we have
got a
to
roof
get
on it.
sound. We bring our sound.
and it holds
on.
about 200 people. It's huge.
Oh, we gotta
they
have
they have
200.
weddings in it. That's what they use it for, is weddings. But what I'm saying to you is, when you're there this time, out back you can see the cement,
yeah.
the foundations. In fact,
look, when I
it may
get
still
there.
be up. It may still be up if they have weddings to the end of October. A lot of times they leave it up. But if you want to really have the lakeside, do a show outside in the tent and lift up the sides, and there's the lake.
Oh, that must be beautiful.
Gorgeous.
We're gonna
It's
take
magnificent.
Our first year here.
Yeah.
This is our first, because we've been at Sturbridge Village.
Yeah.
But we have met so many wonderful people. Being a New Englander, they don't know. Whoops, I don't mean to do that
Yeah.
to my microphone. But being a New Englander, and I tell them, they say, nah, you're not. I say, sure. I come from New England or Bostonian, but it took me time to get rid of that and a lot of other things. And I talk about my mom, and I talk about the characters I met, and I become them.
Wow.
The little Russian girl, little Irish girl.
Oh, God.
And my little
I do
English
dialect
girl.
myself. I learned it a long time
You
ago.
know,
Me too.
something she kind of glossed over. Lucille is a real link to vaudeville. Her father was a working vaudevillian.
Yeah.
And her godfather was Georgie Jessel.
Yeah.
Her brother's godfather was Al Jolson.
Oh, wow.
And to me, vaudeville was way in the past, but here it is, and we're doing it.
Right.
now.
Well, you know,
Thank you.
Lulu and I have already chatted about this, but my father's mother
Right.
was in Ziegfeld Follies, and
Isn't that-
her name was Mary
Isn't
Mary
that-
Vaughn, but I forget what she was in the show, but she had a different name. But in any event, she performed with George Burns. And when my father was only a little kid, they were in Boston, and of course she
So maybe this is why you look a little like George.
But let me tell you, she
Burns,
took my
huh?
she took my father to meet George.
Very much like George.
She took my father to see him, and so my father had met him when he was a little guy. Well, I was maybe about 14 or 15, and Burns was back in Boston for 3 days performing. My father, he was stayed at the old Hotel Manger in North
Yes,
Station, and my father called up and got a hold of him. And I went in and I met George Burns when I was about 12. And my dad could take off George Burns. You'd think it was him. My father, he, of course, he got this from his mother. And he could dance and sing. He could do the Highland Flame.
Isn't that wonderful?
And he'd dance and sing. And he used to do all, he was another one.
And you know, George and Gracie sang and danced.
Oh, yes, they did.
You can see them on
George-
film
Well,
at
you
the
know, people
Museum
think
of
of
the Moving Image.
Well, people think of George as a comedian. He really was a song and
Song
dance
and
man.
dance, but so was
Yeah.
my father.
Yeah, that's
and
what
they knew
that's
it.
how they
Yeah.
started.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
they were song.
Well, and her father did the voice of Al Jolson sometimes.
Yes, when
Al
the-
couldn't do it.
Well, they had- yeah,
Yeah,
and
in
my
the
mother
movie
played the
theaters, yeah.
piano on the silent movies.
Oh, wow.
And he came here on the Keith Circuit and he came and he stayed in a little boarding house that my grandmother ran.
Wow,
And he saw this beautiful lady.
right. So how long is the show? We got to get back about the show.
Come on, the show is so wonderful.
How long does it run?
It's usually about an
An hour
hour
and a half.
20.
An hour and 20 minutes.
An hour
Perfect.
20, no, they laugh enough times.
Hour
It's
30?
10 more minutes.
All right.
An hour and a half.
And
Okay.
they laugh a lot and
Well,
they
that's
have
good.
joy.
Because, you know, sometimes, and I learned this from Liberace, sometimes you can stay on too long. You gotta know when to get out of there.
We
Do
say
you know
that.
what he did too?
You just always keep them wanting more.
Well, and he
that's
would go out after the show and talk to them.
Oh, yeah, he
Oh, we
did.
do that.
And of course, and we do that too.
Yeah.
We
She,
do
she
that.
does that big time.
Yeah.
You know.
And I walk around before the show and I cover every single table and I say, welcome, thank you for coming. He says, who are you?
Yeah.
I say, I'm Lulu. This a Lulu?
Yeah.
You're a Lulu? Oh, isn't that
Yeah,
nice?
you're a Lulu.
The warmth that we try to bring to this. And then when I come up there, I have this character called Aunt Minnie. You know, it's sort of a takeoff on Aunt Minnie. And I come out there as Aunt Minnie, and that's her.
Lily Tomlin.
Behind, yeah.
Used to do Edith. Edith
Yeah, I
on
do Aunt
telephone.
Minnie.
You know,
Yeah,
you do
exactly,
Aunt Minnie.
and I do.
You know, and you talk about, I remember two great television shows.
Uh-huh.
One was, do you remember Ernie Kovacs?
Of course, with a mustache.
Yes, and he used to have the Nairobi Trio. He had
Yes.
it's on internet. You can look it up if you go into
Yes.
Google.
Do you remember?
And he had three monkeys. The guys were dressed like monkeys, and they
Yes.
played a band.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
And he
yeah,
called them
yeah.
the Nairobi
remember.
Trio.
Sure.
You do
Didn't-
remember.
Yeah,
I
and
didn't remember their
We
names.
should
Yeah.
do that. We should dress up like monkeys. We
and
would
he
be
did the
great.
Nairobi Trio, and it was unbelievable. And then the other great show. You remember Rowan and
Yes,
Rowan
of
and Martin's
course.
Laughing, and that's where Goldie Hawn got her start.
I know.
And with Ruth Buzzy and Henry Gibson, he had such a great. They
Great.
were so talented.
They're
and I
on
used
now,
to sit
too.
there.
You can
I
still
used to
see
sit
them.
there for an hour and just laugh myself foolish, you know.
When you come to, are you going to see our show ever? Because I know you do these.
Yeah,
Do you know,
Thursday is
by
a
the
tough
way,
day for me.
laughing is even therapy. I mean, officially,
Yes.
you know, they
Oh.
have yoga laughing classes and
Yep.
stuff like that. So
Well,
Yep.
they laugh a lot.
Look at the old saying: "Laugh and the world laughs with you. Cry and you cry alone."
You cry alone, honey.
You know, so
he does a
nothing
wonderful.
beats laughing.
He does a wonderful thing. I know I'm being prejudiced now, but he does a thing called the vent, and he brings two people up
Ventriloquism,
because
that's
his
for sure.
dummies didn't show up. What am I going to do? I'll be it. And he brings two people up, and he does the vent, and they say things to each other, have a fight with each other,
Yeah.
called. Oh, it's wonderful, and we can do it many times. We don't like to repeat
Yeah.
because we're using new people.
Well, but this, you know, the beauty of that, and when you said that, I started to laugh. I have a bunch of blow-up banjos and blow-up saxophones.
Oh gosh.
And what I do when we're doing a concert, like we play the New York State Fair,
Right.
and I'm doing a concert, and I say, "Gee, we got a great banjo solo I want to do, but I'm short one banjo player.
Oh.
Do you think I could get anybody out there?" And of course, I'll get
Wonderful.
somebody involved, always somebody, sometimes too many. But I bring them up, and I sit them down right next to the four banjo players, and then the music director says, "Dick, that's all well and good. The guy doesn't have a banjo. Now what are we going to do? Don't worry." And I run over and get the blow-up banjo and give it to him.
Oh,
And
that's
of course
wonderful.
they play.
Oh, that's wonderful,
And
Dick.
it is hysterical.
Oh, that's
You know,
wonderful.
and anytime you can bring people up
That-
and get them in the show.
Yeah,
First of all,
it makes
the
it
audience
magic,
goes
yeah.
crazy,
Yeah,
number
yeah,
one.
yeah.
And number two, it makes you right down and you're on their level.
Yeah.
I do. I pick up some when I can feel things from the audience.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you know that. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
sense when
Oh,
someone.
you see them. When I start the show, I know about 15 minutes in.
That's right.
I'm going to get 3 people up. So the minute I get on stage at the beginning of the show, I'm saying,
picking 'em
who's
out.
out there?
Exactly.
And you get someone that's...
How do you pick 'em?
You get if I get somebody
do
that's
that.
jumping up and down and clapping and enjoying it,
That's him.
there they are.
They're coming up here.
There they go.
Me, you want me
Yeah.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get on
yeah,
that
yeah,
stage.
yeah.
We both do that. He does it his way.
We're doing the Wisconsin State Fair.
Oh.
And there's a guy and the girl sitting out there, and she was a good-looking girl. They're probably in their middle 20s. He's got a hot dog and a beer. I jump off the stage when they're playing, and I go down and get right in the aisle, sit next to her. And I reach over and I take the hot dog and I take a bite out of it. I take his beer and take a drink. Guy's ready to hit me, you know. And I said, come with me. I said, would you ever like to lead the band? I'd love to lead the. Up she comes, and I get her up to lead the band.
Right.
People went crazy, and the guys in the band say, you know, someday some guy's going to smack you right in the mouth when you run up and steal his girlfriend on her. But the crowd
bit.
went nuts.
They went nuts. He does something very,
You know,
very,
and after
very
the show, I
naughty.
gave the guy $5. I goes, here, go buy yourself another beer and a hot
But he
dog.
does something very naughty, Dick. And I'm going to tell you what it is. He
No.
does.
What?
You
I
say,
don't know
what
what.
is she going to say?
Yeah.
He does a bra trick.
Uh-oh. Well, that's nothing wrong with that.
Where
You're going to give it away?
Don't
No,
give
I
it
won't
away.
give it away, but it's a little devilish.
Well, that's good, though.
They
See?
love it in taste.
Now, next time, folks, here you go. Make sure you get Robert to do the old-fashioned bra trick.
Tomorrow. He's going to do it
I'll
tomorrow.
do it tomorrow.
Good.
And I'm also doing something. It's a song that Frank did, but it came from a Broadway show called "When I'm Not Near the Girl I Love the Girl I'm Near."
Oh, yeah.
The cleverest lyrics.
Yeah.
Really. But my goal is to use as many women in the audience. I go from woman to woman to woman to woman and
I love
get
the
'em
girl
up.
I'm near.
It's
Yeah.
great.
And
Yeah.
he has them
It's
do
all an improv. I'm like
Oh,
a
yeah.
sheepdog, you know.
Yeah.
and he has them do a kick at the very end, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like the vaudeville old kick, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
They're loving it. I'm in show business. And sometimes we give out flowers, and I see them walking out with these little carnations. They're
Yeah,
drooping.
whatever.
But they hold it to
But
them.
you know
They're
what? You know
sweet.
what? When you make somebody special,
You-
when you make somebody special, remember, you're up on the stage. You're somebody special. But when you make that another person special,
Oh, they love
whether
it.
you give them a little flower, whether it's a hug, whether you let them play a foolish blow-up banjo, it doesn't matter. You gave them their 15 seconds of notoriety.
Well, and you're giving everyone happiness
Yeah.
Yes, and then-
and making them feel
In-
better.
in a tough
living
world.
longer, you know.
Yeah, in a tough
helping.
world. Okay.
Oh, let's not talk about it.
Yeah,
We
and,
make
and
them
so
forget about
and
it.
so the good news is, we send love.
Yeah.
We send affection, just like today. What a great program, and I'm so delighted you folks came by because
Thank you.
it gives us a chance to have a little fun.
Thank you.
But number two, folks, these folks are going to perform tomorrow at the Host, and they'll be back 3 times again.
We'll be back for a big holiday show that'll end this year, and next year we'll be back
So
for
there's sometime in December you're coming back.
December 5th.
Oh, you already know. December 5th. Mark it on your calendars. Get over there.
6th. Excuse me. 6th. I'm so
6th.
Wednesday. the 6th.
Wednesday, December 6th. Okay? Wednesday, December 6th.
Yes, definitely. We'll be here.
You know, that'd be great. So folks can get to see that.
Oh, it's so sweet of you.
Well, listen, I'm delighted to have you come. I'm so appreciative that you came up and to do this because I know you normally don't come in this early, but you did it just to do the program,
Yes, we did.
which I really appreciate. But more than that, it was delightful chatting with you. And I was so happy that I could get Burns to come and welcome you, Lulu.
Yeah, you're
Thank
delightful.
you. You're
you know.
isn't he?
You know, and I know George was so delighted to get to meet you and had a chance to sing a song about Lulu.
Gracie, she does some Gracie lines. She's a good Gracie. And Gracie said one time, one of her lines was, "When I was born, it was so traumatic, I didn't talk for 2 years." Didn't you use that line? I think.
Well, you know,
Yeah, she
I stole.
I will.
My favorite line from George Burns is this, and you know, I'll close the show with it.
Okay,
I'll do it
please
this way.
do.
Okay.
I want to hear.
Folks, I want you to live every day like it's your last, because one of these days you're going to be right.
Oh,
There you go.
thank you so much, dear. Thank you.
There you are, folks, another Conversations with.
You do look.